I proposed to my fiancée. She laughed and said, "You actually thought I'd say yes?" Everyone was clapping until she pulled away. 3 months later, she begged me to take her back after she lost everything. Hey there, we're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. You ever feel your heart stop? Not from fear, not from pain, but because you're suddenly the only one in a room full of people who didn't get the joke? That's what happened to me. Except it wasn't a joke. At least, not to me. We were standing in front of about 80 people. My family, her family, old friends from college, her coworkers. The living room was packed. It was her dad's birthday, but it was also the night I decided I'd propose. I planned it for weeks. I had called her sister to make sure she'd be wearing something she liked. I'd talked to her dad the week before. I even asked the restaurant she loved to prepare a small cake with "Will you marry me?" written on it. They delivered it right on time. The timing was perfect. Everyone had just finished dessert. People were still clinking their glasses. I stood up, made a small speech about love and life, and walked toward her. She gasped when I dropped to one knee. Everyone did. That kind of gasp you hear at weddings in the movies. And then I said it. "Will you marry me?" There was this pause, like the whole world just leaned in for her answer. She blinked twice, looked at me, and then she started laughing. Not just a nervous giggle. She actually laughed. Loud. Like I just asked if she wanted to join my pyramid scheme. And then she looked around at the room and said it. "You actually thought I'd say yes?" It felt like a glass shattered somewhere. That moment when the air turns heavy and no one breathes because they're waiting to see if it's a prank or a meltdown. Her friends were frozen. My cousin's jaw was literally hanging. Her mom was blinking like she couldn't believe what just came out of her daughter's mouth. Me? I was still on one knee, ring in my hand, face frozen like a statue. For a second, I didn't even register what happened. I thought maybe she was joking. Maybe this was just a bad reaction. But she stood up and kept going. "I told you we needed to slow down. I told you this wasn't where I saw myself. Why would you think this was a good idea?" There it was. Not just rejection, but a full-on public humiliation. I think someone in the back started clapping, not sure if they were supposed to. Someone else cleared their throat. Her sister whispered something under her breath. She picked up her purse, muttered something about needing air, and walked out of the house. I don't remember how long I stayed kneeling there. All I know is my legs had pins and needles when I stood up. Someone eventually turned the music back on. Someone else tried to ask if I was okay. I just nodded. The worst part wasn't the rejection. It wasn't the embarrassment either. It was the look on her face before she left. She wasn't confused. She wasn't emotional. She looked smug, like she'd just proven a point. That was the night everything I thought I knew about her, about us, started to unravel. And it was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car until sunrise, parked a few blocks from her dad's house. Not because I was hoping she'd call, or come out, or explain. No, I just couldn't face going back to our apartment, my apartment. The place where we had just taken photos a week earlier on the balcony, laughing over wine and pizza. I'd spent months convincing myself that things were just stressful, that she was just tired. Turns out, that was me gaslighting myself. She never came home that night. She didn't text. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. Around noon the next day, I went back. Everything in the apartment looked normal, until I noticed some of her clothes were missing. Her favorite perfume? Gone. The framed photo of us from our vacation in Colorado? Taken off the wall. She didn't move out, but she made sure I noticed she was already gone. That was my first real clue. I called her once. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I didn't know what I would even say. "Hey, thanks for humiliating me in front of 4 generations of both our families. Want to talk?" That night, my best friend Josh called. He had been at the party. He stayed late, helped clean up after the mess I left behind. He sounded weird, like he didn't know if he should say something. "Man," he started, "I didn't want to bring this up before, but there's something you should probably know." I braced for it. "She's been texting some guy. I saw her phone by accident once when we were at a bar a few months ago. The name said Rachel, but the messages weren't from Rachel. They were weird." I asked what he meant by weird. Stuff like, "I can't wait to see you again," and "he's starting to get suspicious." That kind of thing. I didn't know what to say. I thought maybe it was old, or maybe she had a weird sense of humor. But now, I think she's been seeing someone else. He sent me screenshots he'd quietly taken that night. I sat there staring at them, my stomach in knots. It wasn't just another guy. It was Brian. Brian was someone she'd mentioned before, but only in passing. A coworker. She said he was just a guy in the marketing team. That was it. I pulled up our shared calendar. There were 2 weekends she said she was visiting her sister. One of those weekends, she claimed her sister had food poisoning and cut the trip short. I checked the bank statements. That weekend, a hotel charge in the city, Lyft rides, dinner at a place I'd never been with her, 2 tickets to an art gallery. I searched our photos. I remembered her sending me a picture from her sister's apartment that weekend. But something about the furniture looked too modern. I ran a reverse image search on the throw pillows. Yeah, I was that far gone. And they matched a boutique hotel downtown. Not her sister's place. That was when the switch flipped. That moment when you stop grieving and start investigating. She didn't just laugh at me. She had replaced me. I started digging deeper. And what I found next, it made me realize just how far she'd gone to keep me in the dark. I had paid off her student loans. Every last cent, $42,000. I helped her land a job at my friend's company when she was unemployed. I had even co-signed for a car she drove every day to go meet him. She built her new life on the back of mine. And it was time to tear that foundation down, quietly. The revenge wasn't planned yet. But something had shifted. I wasn't the guy on one knee anymore. I was the guy who got played and was about to play back. I didn't want to explode. I didn't want a screaming match. I wanted facts. I wanted to look this guy in the eyes and see what he knew. Because if he wasn't just a random side piece, if he knew about me, if he knew what she did that night at the proposal, then it wasn't just betrayal. It was planned humiliation. So I reached out. I created a burner account. Just a regular guy looking to network. Brian's Instagram was public. His email was listed on his portfolio site. I messaged him and said I was a startup founder looking to build a team, saw his work, wanted to meet. He responded in an hour. Eager. Friendly. We met at a coffee shop downtown. He ordered a matcha latte and started pitching himself before I even sat down. I let him talk for a bit. I asked some generic questions. Then I asked casually, "So what's your team like? You dating anyone?" And just like that, he smiled. The kind of smile that makes you instantly dislike someone. Yeah, actually. Kinda complicated, but yeah. She's amazing. Smart, funny. Works in the same building, different department. She's dealing with some stuff though. I nodded, playing along. Like what? He shrugged. Some clingy ex she can't shake. Dude proposed to her out of nowhere at a family party. Real desperate move. She said it was some kind of trap. She had to ghost him after that. I stared at him. Hard. And then I said, "Was the guy's name Alex?" He looked up, confused. "Yeah. How'd you? Hi. I'm Alex." The color drained from his face. He blinked, processing what just happened. He started stammering, tried to laugh it off like it was a bad prank. Wait, are you serious?" "Oh, I'm dead serious." There was this long pause between us. Just the sound of the espresso machine hissing in the background. "I didn't know," he finally said. "She told me you were toxic, that she had to cut contact. I didn't even know you were living together." I pulled out my phone and showed him a few photos from last month. One was of us decorating the apartment. Another was from our anniversary dinner. Her hand on my chest, ring in full view. He looked like he'd been slapped. "She told me you were stalking her." I just stared. No emotion. Just quiet. I swear, man. I didn't know. Honestly, I believed him. He looked like a moron, not a monster. Then I hit him with the next one. "You know that marketing job you got?" I asked. "The company you work for? The guy who recommended you was me." That one broke him. He rubbed his hands over his face. Didn't say a word. Just sat there realizing that not only was he her secret, he was hired through my network. I'd vouched for her. She vouched for him. And she used us both. I stood up to leave. I didn't threaten him. Didn't say anything dramatic. Just looked at him and said, "She used you to replace me. She used me to build you. Hope it was worth it." That was it. I walked out of the coffee shop with no real plan. But I knew one thing. She thought she burned me in front of everyone. She had no idea what I was about to do next. After I walked out of that coffee shop, I didn't go home. I sat in my car in a parking garage, engine off, for over 2 hours, just thinking. Not raging. Not crying. Just calculating. I wasn't going to expose her on social media. I wasn't going to show up at her job and scream in the lobby like some viral drama video. That would have just made her the victim. She told people I was obsessive. that I was unstable. I couldn't feed that lie. What I could do was let her lies collapse from the inside. First, I called my friend Evan. He's the guy who runs the startup I helped her get hired at. She'd been working there for about 9 months. She always bragged about how she landed it herself, but in reality, I sent Evan her resume directly and told him she was reliable. Evan picked up immediately. He hadn't heard what happened yet. "Hey man," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Listen, I don't want to drag you into anything, but there's something you need to see." I sent him the screenshots, the messages between her and Brian, the photos, the receipts. I also included the clip from the proposal. Evan went quiet. "Is this recent?" he asked. I told him everything. The fake names in her phone, the lies to Brian, the fact that she was dating one employee while still working under another and never disclosed any of it. That's a huge HR violation in his company. Strict policy. No relationships between departments without disclosure. "I'll talk to legal," he said. "But if this checks out, they're both gone." That was step 1. Step 2 was dinner. I texted her that afternoon. "Hey, I think we should talk. Just the two of us. I'm not angry, just tired." She replied in 10 minutes. "Fine. I'm free tonight. 7 p.m. She picked the restaurant. Of course she did. Some overpriced sushi place she used to say was our special spot. When I walked in, she was already seated. Hair done, makeup on, looking like someone who knew she had something to prove. She didn't smile when she saw me. Just that same smug look she had when she laughed at me in front of everyone. "You wanted to talk?" she said, sipping wine like she was already bored. I looked at her for a second, then pulled a manila envelope from my coat and slid it across the table. She paused, looked down at it. "What's this?" "Read it." Inside were printouts of the messages she'd sent Brian. Photos, screenshots, a short summary of HR policy from her company's website, and, just for flair, a copy of her fake Rachel contact profile from her phone, with one line highlighted, "Don't reply if he's in the room." She didn't say a word. Her hand went from the stem of the glass to her lap. Her face dropped. "You played both of us," I said calm. "You took everything I gave you and used it to build a lie. You could have just broken up with me. You didn't have to humiliate me." She started, but I cut her off. "Don't. I'm not here for an apology. I just wanted you to see what's coming." I stood up, left a $20 on the table, and walked out. That night, I turned off my phone, took the batteries out, slept like I hadn't in weeks. The next morning, I woke up to 37 missed calls, 12 voicemails, and 22 text messages. But the best one? A message from Evan. HR confirmed it. "They're both out. And I sent your reference to the board. Brian's done too." She tried to ruin me in public. Now she had to explain why her new boyfriend got fired and why she was suddenly unavailable for comment. I didn't respond to her calls. Not that day. Not the one after. Not the one after that either. I wasn't ignoring her to be petty. I just didn't see the point anymore. What was I supposed to say? "Hey, thanks for the emotional car crash. Hope you enjoyed the ride." Besides, I already said everything I needed to say at that dinner. But watching the fallout, that was something else entirely. It started with a group text from her uncle, of all people. Apparently, he'd been CC'd in the email Evan sent internally to the company board, since they had some startup investment overlap. He forwarded it, accidentally or intentionally, I'll never know, to her entire family chain. No subject. Just, "You all need to see this before you ask me about Thanksgiving." Then silence. And then the screenshots I sent to Evan started making the rounds. One of her cousins, who I guess had always had a weird soft spot for me, texted me directly. "Bro, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. She told us you went nuts and ruined the proposal to trap her." We believed her. Her dad called me, too. Twice. Left a voicemail. He sounded like a ghost of himself. "Alex, I don't know what to say. I raised her better than that. You didn't deserve that. None of us did." I never called him back. Nothing against him. I just didn't have anything left to give. By day 3, she was off every group chat. Instagram, deactivated. Facebook, wiped clean. Her professional portfolio, taken down. Even her LinkedIn was scrubbed. I got a DM from one of her close friends who'd been there the night of the proposal. I remembered her because she was the only one who looked truly shocked when it all went down. She told everyone you were stalking her. That she said no because you were manipulative. That's what she told Brian, too. I can't believe I defended her. I didn't answer that one either. Not to be rude. But again, what was the point? They were finally seeing what I saw. That was enough. And then came the final blow. Brian sent me a message. Not a long one. Not defensive. Not angry. Just, you were right. Apparently, when the HR investigation launched, they dug through everything. Turns out she had used another guy's reference before Brian, another coworker. Same pattern, different name. She'd built her whole career on emotional fraud and strategic lies. When she got suspended, she blamed Brian. Said he pressured her to keep it a secret. He showed the emails proving otherwise. The company let them both go. Quietly. No lawsuits. Just cut ties and moved on. Brian was devastated. From what I heard through mutuals, he moved out of the city altogether. Told his friends he didn't even know who he was dating. And her? That voicemail she left me? That one voicemail out of the dozens? She sounded different. Flat. Hollow. I guess you won. Is that what you wanted? You embarrassed me. You turned everyone against me. I hope it was worth it. Can we talk? Can we talk? No. Because talking was what I tried for 2 years. Talking was the way I told her I loved her. Supported her. Fought for her. Proposed to her. She had her chance to talk. Now she could sit in the silence she made. It's been 8 months since the proposal. I don't tell people the full story anymore. Not because I'm embarrassed, but because I just don't need to. When people ask what happened between me and her, I say something like, we weren't on the same page, or life took us in different directions. Sometimes I even smile when I say it. Not because I'm bitter, because I made it through. The first few weeks were weird. I'd come home and instinctively expect her to be there. I'd hear her favorite song in a store and feel my stomach turn. I donated most of the things she left behind. Sold the car she used. Repainted the walls. I turned the apartment into mine, not ours. I focused on work. Then I quit work. I realized I had spent so long building a future around someone else's dream, I didn't even know what mine looked like. So I took a chance. I cashed out a chunk of my savings and started freelancing full-time. Built a website. Reconnected with some old clients. Started saying yes to things I normally would have made excuses for. New cities. Late nights. Real conversations. And the funny part? The more I let go of her, the more people like her faded too. Friends who had stuck by her side quietly slipped away when they realized what she did. Others messaged me months later saying they had a feeling but didn't want to get involved. Whatever. Let them all disappear. The people who stayed, Josh, Evan, my cousin who helped me burn the last box of memories in a fire pit behind his house. Those are the ones who mattered. Last week, I got invited to a wedding. One of Evan's friends. Small rooftop thing in the city. Casual but nice. I went solo. Wore the same blazer I wore the night I proposed, except this time, no one laughed. I got compliments. At the reception, someone recognized me. Wait, weren't you the guy who? I laughed before he could finish. Yeah, I said. That was me. And I meant it. That was me. A version of me who bent over backwards for someone who saw me as a stepping stone. A version of me who confused loyalty with self-sacrifice. I'm not angry anymore. I'm grateful. She gave me a front row seat to my own rock bottom and a very clear exit sign. I never responded to her voicemail. Never texted back. Never checked if she made a new Instagram. I don't care. If she's out there still telling people I ruined her life, good. Let her. Because the truth? The moment she said, you actually thought I'd say yes? That's when she set me free. And I finally said yes. To myself. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day. And trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.